you know, not that I'm on the straight and narrow or anything. I just keep my nose clean. You know what I mean? Anyway, boy, I had a great show today, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Laura Bellin came on the air at 2:10, and Janice Valentine, the fabulous Janice, who I think really, truly is fabulous. There's no doubt about it in my mind. And then Gary Thielen, who did some work on what I consider a hilarious story from the 1980s. This is the 35th anniversary of the Mingo Tavern incident, the Back 40 restaurant, where a number of Democratic legislators went to have a little party and got it. Well, some people would say it got out of hand. In light of the fact that there was a sex act on stage between a Democrat from Sioux City called Al Sturgeon, who was very well thought of, by the way, at the time, but he just lost complete control of himself. Sturgeon, I'm close to the same age as Sturgeon. He's a little older than I am. But guys do get carried away. Back in those days, I mean, you can't do it now because there's video cameras everywhere. And, and there's some harsh person somewhere wants to shake their scornful finger in your face and lecture you. And that person usually works overnights at Walmart or someplace. But they're a moral authority. Listen, I'm not putting down overnights at Walmart. I worked at Walmart for a couple of months back in the 80s, as a matter of fact. Needed extra money for Christmas, and I got it. But boy, was that work. I tell you, those folks out of Walmart do work pretty hard. But again, I don't see them as my moral or intellectual superior, so you'll excuse me if I pay no attention to your scolding. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, you shouldn't pay any attention to your scolding from the woke crowd anyway. Who are they? Who are they to lecture us? Really, that's a question that has to be asked. Who are you? And what is it in your background that makes you a moral authority on anything? That is so arrogant. What is it? Of course, I'm a conservative. I a traditionalist at least. I'm probably more liberal on economic issues than half the liberals out there now, because they've co-opted business. They think business, all they have to do is go to business and scare them a little bit by saying they're going to picket their offices and call all the officers racist. That's big stuff down at the country club. You get in those high-level country clubs and everybody's talking and thinking the same. To be called a racist or you had to have your office picketed, that's a big thing with them. So if it means slapping down, whether you deserve it or not, some white working stiffs, that's just fine. And I don't like that part of capitalism that really has created a caste system like they have in India, where there's the untouchables, and the untouchables are the very wealthy. And then on the lowest end are those beggars in the street. It seems like that's what they're working for, at least the Chinese model. I mean, Tim Cook, uber liberal from Apple, chairman of Apple, knows damn well that there's slave labor in China putting together his iPhones. And he likes that idea. China's built big warehouses of people. They're called apartment buildings. But there's chain link fences around some of these places, some of these apartment complexes with barbed wire on top. And the workers are let out every morning like slaves and put to work at their tasks like slaves and guarded over by overseers, if you want to put it that way. But Tim Cook is, because he's gay and from Georgia, Lord knows the trouble he's seen. Being gay in Georgia, I bet you is no great ride. But it doesn't compare to a week of slave labor experienced by the people of China in service to Tim Cook's vast fortune. To portray him as some sort of victim because he's gay and from Georgia, I can't handle that. I just cannot deal with that. If you want to join the program, it's 515-955-1400. We're also on audio and video. Of course, at the radio station. We're on audio and video at Alpha Media Fort Dodge. Just go to Alpha Media Fort Dodge And there's StreamYard and my personal Facebook page, Michael Devine. You'll find it there. The KBFT Facebook page, we're going to have to do something else with. I believe the page has been hacked by righteous woke people. Anyway, nobody can do anything with it. Nobody in Alpha Media can access it, including me. Oddly, yesterday I was able to post SoundCloud posts on my Facebook page after being denied by SoundCloud. SoundCloud said I couldn't post on AM 1400 KBFT. So, I stopped trying. Lo and behold, I look at that page this morning, the AM 1400 KBFT page, and there are some of my SoundCloud posts from yesterday and StreamYard videos as well. So I know, even for a man my age, and I'm getting older, even for a man my age, for crying out loud, I know so little about the internet and in Facebook and all, and how, as far as technical aspects, I don't know a thing about it. I really don't. Really don't. And, some of the younger people around here, as I've mentioned several times in the past, if there's an internet problem or something, they all gather together and say, hey, let's ask Mike, and then they all laugh. Apparently, they have no respect for their elders, no respect or empathy, because empathy is the only virtue that we can ever talk about. Empathy, yes, empathy. I'll have empathy for me. Have empathy for me. Give me all your money, or I'll call you white racist or whatever the hell. Sexist, transphobic. How many phobias are? Homophobic. There, I always love that one. These are not medical diagnoses. They come from sociologists, activist sociologists in some ways. A lot of the transphobic literature, I found out, has been written by trans people. And what are trans people going to say? What is a trans academic going to say? Wow, we're really messed up. We don't even know who we are. Are they going to say that? No. They're going to take the rest of us to task for not seeing that they're a woman when they're 6'2", like Caitlyn Jenner, and say, can't you see I'm a woman? Can't you see that? Never mind that I look like a man. Here, I'll put on this really cool dress, and then you'll know that I'm a woman. And we must, and this is the most annoying part, we must allow trans athletes to compete in women's sports. I have not a 9-year-old, but like a 7 or 8-year-old granddaughter, just the cutest little thing. Her father, my son, is a wrestling fanatic. He wants her to wrestle, and so she does, and she's pretty good at it. But I don't want her wrestling some boy. Does that make me a transphobic type of character who should be condemned and run out of town? Lose my job because I don't want my sweet little granddaughter to wrestle some boy who will throw her on the mat, twist her head off? Kind of sick. I guess I'm sick. Or somebody is. Maybe the people making these assertions are out of their minds. Come to me and tell me that that's right and natural and normal. I can't even get the Republicans in the State House to rally around a trans bill. To rally around a bill, I shouldn't say trans bill. Trans people have every right to exist on Earth. I would never take that away from them. If they want to do those sorts of things, that's up to them. But when you start asking or demanding, I think we're past the asking point now. When you start demanding with furious insults and indignation that a well-muscled little boy should wrestle my grandchild, my granddaughter, I'm going to have to say there's something wrong with you, real wrong with you, that you're willing to sacrifice practically everything just so you can get that little boy, who's now a girl, out on a wrestling mat or in a weightlifting contest. I think a couple of days ago, I put on my Facebook page, my personal Facebook page, the winner of a contest somewhere in this country of heavyweight weightlifting for women turned out to be a trans athlete. who looked suspiciously and was built suspiciously like a male, a young male. But for me to notice that, I must be sick and twisted. And if you notice that, and you think that this is wrong, not even morally, but if you notice that, and you think this is scientifically, biologically, a big lie that's being foisted on us, and we're so meek and shamed that we can't even stand up for ourselves in this regard, not me. No, I'll point out the very obvious. And you can bring your trans studies to me. You can bring your trans studies and papers to me. Implicit bias. Yeah, okay. There was a push a number of years ago, a successful push, not to allow, there was a push several years ago that if a child had been adopted by two same-sex couples, that the same-sex couple needed to be named on the birth certificate. Never mind, that's biologically impossible, but they got it done. I mean, really, the gay rights activists got that done. Because you're abnormal not to notice that, wow, what they're demanding is completely impossible. Absolutely and completely impossible. David Wiggins was really the madcap of the Katie court. David Wiggins he's retired now. He could see the writing on the wall after Kim Reynolds became governor, and she wasn't going to beat Terry Branstad, frankly. Anyway, in that case, Wiggins weighed in support of same-sex people being named on a birth certificate. And again, this has been law for a few years now. It's freakish. Wiggins said, well, in his opinion, by the way, that since there's no compelling reason to deny same-sex couples the right to be listed on a child's birth certificate, the only explanation for the state of Iowa and other states to insist that the two biological parents were named on the birth certificate was prejudice and stereotyping. That was it. An amazing assertion from one man. But it shows you where their thinking is. It shows you their mindset in the Supreme Court at the time. Are you kidding me? Stereotyping and prejudice? Would you explain yourself? No is the answer. They won't explain it themselves ever. Because it would be a ludicrous explanation. Mark Katie, God rest his soul. I read the Varnum decision 20 times. I bet more than that. And I could not arrive or support his conclusion at all. And myself and others did quite a bit of work on Katie's thinking and writing on same-sex marriage. Only the Supreme Court got away with that. And only a people who are thoroughly cowed would have allowed some lawyers to change their life and their culture that way. But that's been years ago now, years ago. But it will be seen in historical terms for what it was. It wasn't necessarily true.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
All right. Thank you for listening. The sports show, the Friday sports show, is coming up with Randy Kuhlman and Nevin Mulholland. You don't want to miss it. 4 o'clock, KVFD Fort Dodge.
This is Dave Graveline. Be sure to listen to Into Tomorrow right here on the voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400 KVFD, Fort Dodge.
Mask mandates falling like dominoes. Lisa Brady, Fox News. More than a dozen states embracing the new guidelines, along with some businesses.
Walt Disney CEO Bob Chapek says he expects to see an immediate increase in the number of people allowed in its U.S. theme parks after the CDC's update, saying
you back in the saddle again, although you look better with a mask on than without it. But
Hey, I don't mind as long as I'm still here.
that's right. I hear you.
Feeling a little. You look like you've lost a little weight since the last time I saw you.
Well, I may have because last week I had the stomach flu and I lost 12 pounds.
Oh my God! Really?
Yeah. So I'm hoping I don't gain it all back. But yeah, I know I'm over it now. But boy, it was the stomach virus, whatever that is, and it wiped me out for about 5 days.
I'll tell you, the COVID diet's a great diet. I lost 30 pounds in November.
Did you?
I
Yeah.
did. I
Wow.
couldn't eat.
Yeah, right.
The food was tasteless.
Yeah,
And
I know it.
so that's what happened. We're waiting. We're not gonna. Well, we'd like Nevin Mulholland to call in. And Nevin is not in the studio today, and I'm going to text him here to see what the problem is with him now. Yeah, Nevin has said he will be here, so we look forward to that. And boy, I'll tell you, one thing we don't want to do here, Randy, is mention Major League Baseball moving the All-Star game from Atlanta to Denver because Nevin thinks that's totally righteous, and I think, of course, he's full.
Oh my gosh.
That's what I said. Yeah, that's what I said. Here, I'm going to have to do this. I'm sorry, everybody. I should have done this. I know before we went on the air.
Yeah.
I got it. Anyway, Randy and I'll talk sports, and if you would like to join the conversation, sports conversation, it's 515-955-1400, 515-955-1400. By the way, that remark I made about MLB screwing up, that's my true feeling, but that's not what we're not going to focus on those sorts of things. Nevin tells us he's going to call. Geez, I hate to think that I don't want him to. There he is, too. As a matter of fact, the light has gone on. And we welcome to the program at last, Larry Liberal. How you doing there, Nevin?
Larry Liberal's good.
Larry Liberal is
But
good.
Larry Liberal forgot to call in.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
I
We're so.
can't hear him.
Yeah, can't you hear it all?
No, I
okay.
can't hear.
All right. Well, that's okay. Randy and I are used to being ignored. Really.
Well, half the time you deserve it.
No, I don't. No, I'm profound, Nevin. I'm profound. You just don't.
You know,
I'm just talking over your head a lot, I think, is the problem.
yeah, that's it. That's it. Right.
Can't hear.
Yeah, I know, and I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm trying to turn this thing. Randy can't hear us. In the time I was gone, we had a lot of things go bad here. we really did. I've been talking all day about my Facebook page, or the KVFD Facebook page, I should say. Nobody can get into it anymore. Can't post anything, or even Alpha Media people can't get into the KVFD.
That's that ransomware. Somebody's hacked you.
Yeah, that's for sure. Okay, Nevin, we're going to start with baseball. We always do this time of year. And the Chicago Cubs, who, they're kind of sucking. I mean, they're one game below 500. What are you thinking here?
Nobody's had more one-run games than the Cubs. Can't hit. The pitching's been fairly decent, but they got up to 500. They went to Cleveland and they got swept. And they're all one-run games, and frankly they've been winning more than they've been losing. But a lot of close games, Mike.
Well, there's a lot of close games, which usually means it's a manager problem. Now, I know I've mentioned this to you before. Nothing against at all the manager of the Chicago Cubs, but I thought he was promoted a little prematurely. I mean, he went from the catcher's spot to the manager of the Cubs. I never think that's a good idea. And if you are losing a lot of one-run games, I think you got to look to the management of the team and into the management of the game and ask yourself, why? Is there something missing here?
But Mike, they probably won more than they've lost on one-run games. They're just playing a hell of a lot of them.
Well, I'm not contesting that, but to my point, do you think there's a manager problem?
No, I don't think. I think there's a problem with hitting with men on base. Problem. They're remarkably bad at that. In Cleveland, there were one game. I think they with men on scoring position, they were 1 for 15 or something. Come on, I mean, how's that happen?
I don't know.
And this team's supposed to be able to hit. So and that's been the problem. hitting with men in scoring position. They are not good at it.
Randy, you were a baseball player in school, weren't you? You were a big stud athlete in school. Nevin thinks he was, but I don't know.
That's about as far as it went.
Played my senior year, but I did play baseball 3 years. Yeah.
You didn't play your senior year?
No, I was getting ready for college and was kind of moving on. So
I made a big mistake yesterday. I was talking about Western Illinois University, and I said it was in DeKalb.
oh, that's Northern Illinois. Yeah.
Oh, that's Northern Illinois? Is that what that is? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, some caller, you screw up like that, somebody's going to tune you up. And this guy said, it's in Macomb. Well, all right.
That's right. It's in Macomb. Yeah.
Right. Macomb's not a very big town, is it?
No, probably, 18, 20,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. With 17,000 college students. So
Yeah.
it's a college town.
And DeKalb is what, 70 or 80,000?
Yeah. That's a bigger community.
Yeah. More like, it's not like Iowa City, but it's similar in size.
Yeah. I don't know if it's as big as Iowa City. I was going to say it might be in that 40, 50,000 range. So.
Oh, is that all? And I've driven through there a couple of times. It
Yeah.
looked a little bit bigger.
Maybe it is now.
It
I've been there a while.
doesn't make any difference.
Right.
It does make a doggone bit of difference. So you guys always want to talk basketball. Where are we at, Randy, as far as the basketball season is concerned right now?
Well, it depends on which one you're talking about. If you're talking about the Hawkeyes,
You got to walk on today.
it's a big question mark because they lost some, they lost CJ Frederick to the transfer portal, and Wieskamp's probably going to test the pro market. And of course, Garza is gone. And then they lost the backup center too, that was having a senior moment. I can't remember his name, but so they've got some big holes to fill. So it'll be an interesting process next year to see what McCaffrey can pull together.
What did you say, Nevin? Who is it?
Nunji.
I can't hear
Nunji. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're having a problem here. There were some gremlins got in here while I was gone, and you could always hear if someone was on the phone like you are now, Nevin. You could always hear in the studio what the person was saying without headphones or anything. But apparently, this is the second day in a row I've had that problem. So I got plenty of headphones at home, believe me. So I'll bring some the next time.
Yeah.
Or maybe Nevin will actually show up the next time. That'll be cool. You kind of blew your golf game, didn't it, over there at the lakes, Nevin? You can't golf this weekend, can you?
Well, not today. Not that I would anyway, but yeah, it's a pretty crummy day.
Do you golf anymore or not?
Occasionally. Yeah, I'll go play a little bit here and there, but not a lot. Just don't have time.
Well, I'll go out and hack about 3 times a year, but it's nothing like I used to,
Right.
Randy, you play golf or not?
I used to play a lot. I don't play very much anymore. I kind of lost the golf bug, but I used to play a lot. But
your wife is awesome, right? I mean,
she plays. She's back playing again. Yep. So she's enjoys it a lot. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
All right.
But,
so, do we still have the NBA season on? We do, don't we?
Oh yeah. You're getting close to the playoffs.
You know, all the teams' names are Black Lives Matter now. Have you noticed?
Hey, I got an interesting story on the NBA because this is near and dear to my heart. But Kyrie Thomas, who played at Creighton and then got drafted in the second round by Philly and then traded to Detroit, he played for 2 years, had a bunch of injuries, and never, really made it. I mean, but he, and then he's been in the G League. So a week ago, Houston and the G League, now is done. And so he's just been kind of hanging out and whatever. And Houston calls him up and says, hey, because Houston has so many injuries, you cannot believe it. I mean, practically their entire starting 5 is on the injured list right now. They're just all beat up. So he gets a 10-day contract with them, goes up there and is absolutely tearing it up. He's averaging about 18 points a game, 5 assists a game, 5 steals. I mean, he's just had a phenomenal 4-game run here. In one game, he had 27. And this guy hadn't even been playing competitive basketball for months. And the word is now he's going to get a 3-year guaranteed contract out of the deal.
Wow. Okay. 3-year guaranteed contract. Even that's a lot of money in the NBA.
Oh, it's huge.
Well, and he's also So he can.
I'm sorry. What
Yeah.
did you say, Randy?
I said he's also a very good defender, so he can defend at that level too.
Well, and the biggest thing is he's just a really good kid. I mean, he was back in Omaha. They ran a story on him, and they showed him out shoveling the driveway and stuff. And they go, "Well, Kyrie, you made a lot of money." So, well, I didn't. I did, and I'm saving it.
Saving his money, huh? So
Well,
he'll
he's
shovel
just
his
a
own
good
driveway.
kid. He's so this is great. It's a good deal, for him.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Any thoughts, Randy, on the Major League Baseball season so far?
I'll be honest with you. I haven't paid a whole lot of attention. I mean, the Cubs are right around 500. Looks to me like the best baseball team in Chicago is the White Sox.
Yeah, well, the White Sox are leading their division.
Yeah.
It may be the
I think
best.
they won
baseball
5 in a
team.
row, and they've got the old manager back, Tony La Russa.
Tony La Russa, bring it on. God, how old is Tony?
It's got to be in the
In
early
his 70s.
70s, yeah.
Well, I think he's older than that.
Still got good hair.
Yeah,
but-
God, doesn't that frustrate you? God, Nevin still has hair. That's just not fair. I think to be
Not much, Mike.
I think to be equitable, everyone should be required to have the same amount of hair, or we should burn a couple of cars down on Central Avenue tonight. What do you think? No.
Well, you got to find a couple cars on Central Avenue first.
That cancels that whole idea because there are
That's-
no cars on Central Avenue.
That's right.
You did hear we had a little shooting in front of the building today, didn't you?
No.
Between 9 and 10 this morning, there was a drive-by. Nobody was hurt, but a car next door to us, north side of this building, a car was hit. I don't know how many times.
Well, I thought maybe you were involved, and somebody finally got tired of you
Well, here at Alpha Media,
and some of those obnoxious statements that you make on the air.
well, it's unusual when something like this happens. Everybody starts to look at me with a little disappointment. No, it had nothing to do with me, really. Not to my knowledge. I think it's an argument between groups that have. I don't know. I have no
Guns.
idea. I don't have any idea. It's just that in the minute between 9 and 10 in the morning, they're slow rolling down 10th Street and firing off. That's crazy.
It is crazy. It's horrible. Golly.
Anyway, Randy Koolman, Nevin Mulhollander here. We're talking sports, as we always do. I guess with Nevin on the phone, you can't make a comment, which I'm sorry. But
What?
no, I used to have 3 phone lines, but over the years, various general managers thought $10 a month was too much for me, or an extra $20 a month, and they started cutting down my phone line. So I've only got 1 now. So if you call, nobody else can call in. This is big time talk radio here at Fort Dodge. But on the other hand, we should be glad. I'm nearly a perfect vessel for this job, but not quite. But this is the only town this size in Iowa, or maybe the whole Midwest, that has a talk show like this. I'm sure.
Well, it's the country,
Yeah,
I would say.
it could be. Rejoice and be glad there, Nevin. Rejoice and be glad.
Be glad.
Anyway, Major League Baseball, already 7 no-hitters. That's we're on track to have the most no-hitters in one season ever. Why is that happening?
That's interesting. They did change the baseball a little bit. I remember at the beginning of the year, they were talking, the pitchers liked it. I think they raised the seams and stuff, I thought, and they deadened it or whatever a little, but maybe I'm all wet on that, but I thought they did. Now, does that have anything to do with these no-hitters? Nah, I don't know about that, but yeah, I don't know.
Baseball's got to be careful of things like that. Offense drives the big home run, the extra base hit, the steal. All of that is what excites the fans. Now, a no-hitter is a beautiful thing to see. It's a great amount of determination and athleticism goes into a no-hitter. My hat's off to any pitcher who can do it. But by the same token, Major League Baseball ought to look into this, because that's not to have a 1 or 2 or 3 or even 5 hit game is not real exciting for the fans. That's more Japanese baseball. The Japanese play a different type of baseball. It's more about the manager's strategy and moving runners from base to base and just moving it along like that. And here in the United States, we'd like to get a man on base and see Reggie Jackson knock it out of Yankee Stadium, So that's the real excitement. That's what really gets the fans going. Or what gets you going?
Putting the ball in play.
Keep putting the ball in play, right.
I've seen a no-hitter live. I saw the Cubs get no-hit, and it was interesting, but it's not well, of course, it was it was the Phillies, and it was he eventually pitched for the Cubs, but he no-hit them. God, I'm just blank as a senior. This dementia's killing me, but
I know who you're talking about too.
Yeah, and I saw that no-hitter, and the most exciting part of it was watching the Philly outfielders just about drop fly balls out there as the game went on. They were misplaying these fly balls. They were tight, and it was like a real adventure.
Okay, we're going to do the news in a couple of minutes, and I'm going to have to find out who that pitcher was because he was just with the Cubs a few years ago, wasn't he, Nevin?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
And he's a solid pitcher, but somewhat transient. Well, as all ball players are, I guess, now. But, man. Yeah, I only saw one no-hitter front to back, and I think I mentioned it to you guys. That's Jake Arrieta when he was with the Cubs. He's with the Cubs again.
No, you know what? That was exciting, though, Mike. I watched that game, too. You watched it on TV, right?
Yeah, I did.
It was against the Dodgers.
Right, great team, great hitting team.
But that was exciting. I don't know, maybe because he's pitching for my team, but that was pretty interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. I couldn't, for some reason, tear myself away from the game. For one thing, I was a kind of an Arrieta fan at the time. And if he starts, and he's still a solid pitcher, by the way, but he had something going on there. And again, the Dodgers are a great hitting team. They got a lot of talent on that team. I don't know what's wrong with my man Clayton up there on the mound, but he's kind of struggling a little bit. And of course, he's struggled at odd times, like in the World Series. So I don't know what's going on with Kershaw. You heard anything about Kershaw or not?
No, he had a bad game against the Cubs a week ago, which we talked about. Hey, I want to know what Cooley thinks about his new quarterback for the Bears.
New quarterback for the Bears there, Randy.
It'll be interesting. I'm not sold that Justin Fields is the answer, but I'll tell you the Bears are excited about him. But I was just looking today on the internet, and this is a first. As a matter of fact, I think hell may be freezing over, but the Bears draft this year was ranked number 1.
The Bears draft was.
Yeah,
okay.
As the number 1 most impactful draft for a team. And I was going down the list. The Vikings were like 12th, the Chiefs were 19th, but the Bears are usually around that 25th to 30th rank. And this year, their draft was ranked number 1. They picked up 2 offensive linemen, which they need very badly. One of them is a kid out of, I think it was Oregon, that everybody thought was going to be a first-round draft pick, and he slid down to the second round. The Bears got him, and so they're excited. They've got a really good draft this year, and so we'll see what happens.
I think that was a smart pick. Fields played for Ohio State, Midwestern, just real close to Illinois, and a lot of talent.
Yep.
I don't know whatever happened to Trubinsky. He just couldn't seem to get it going. I don't know if it was the coaching he was receiving but he had a strong arm and he seemed to have a good sense of the game. But as time went on, it seemed like he lacked confidence.
Well, I think Trubisky has talent, physical.
Yeah.
I think the problem he was having was reading the defense and making good quarterback decisions in the passing game. And that got to be really frustrating for Nagy, the coach, and he ended up benching him, and putting in Foles. But I think that's Trubisky's weakness is just being able to read that defense and make the right decision as a quarterback in the passing game. And I think a lot of the Bear fans are looking at Fields as similar to Mahomes, athletically, But again, it'd be unfair to compare anybody to Mahomes right now. But so we'll see what happens. They picked up, the guy from, he was, what's the guy's name, Nevin, from, played for Cincinnati all along.
Yeah, and he's at Dallas, and he's coming up now to play quarterback. And oh my God,
The starter going into the season, and they're going to try to bring Fields along, but it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. But I know the Bears are pumped because it looks like they may have finally gotten a good draft, and no one expected Fields to be available at that. I think he dropped to 11th or 13th or something like that, and
right.
no one was expecting that he'd be available for the Bears. So they're excited. No question.
They had to
about
make
it.
that move. They had to make that move when they had the opportunity to do it, because they have a lot of good pieces there on that team. And I agree with you. I think it's unfair to try to start a rookie at quarterback, but he'll play sooner than later. But he has a chance here with oh my God, the guy. Anyway, but I thought that was a great move by them. And you got to keep your fingers crossed if you're a Bears fan, and you hope like hell he's worth it and that he pans out. If he does, they've got some good things going on up there in Chicago.
Randy, you mentioned Mahomes over at Kansas City. And I'm so, Fort Dodge used to be kind of a gambling town. There was a couple of local, well, you know that, but understatement, right? But
Right.
But I could find, go over here to the house by Sandstone and bet on games. I wouldn't bet a lot because I didn't have a lot, but it was fun to do. But I just got out of it. They kind of killed it here in Fort Dodge, or culture moved on, or whatever the hell. What happened, Nevin? You got insight here?
Well, now we all bet online.
That'll do it.
I don't bet a lot.
But anyway, the point is, I would have bet the farm, everything I had, that Kansas City was going to beat the Bears. Or not the Bears, but the Buccaneers in last year's Super Bowl, or this year's Super Bowl, I guess.
If you bet it Kansas City against the Bears, you would have won the farm.
I would have won the farm, but nobody was taking my bet on that.
Oh, that's right.
No, I would have bet the farm that young, athletic Patrick Mahomes and his considerably talented Kansas City Chiefs would have rolled over old Tom Brady and his drop back old style quarterback type of thing. But Brady was on his game like nothing else.
Yeah.
And it was an impressive performance. So I'm glad I wasn't gambling.
Can you hear me, Mike?
I can hear you. Yeah.
The difference, though, in that game was that the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line was devastated. They had 2 or 3 starters out for that game.
Right.
And Mahomes didn't have 2 seconds to throw the ball in that game. And it just goes to show you how important, I don't care how good a quarterback you are, you got to have a decent offensive
people on this show. You really do.
Well, then what would we do for fun? You know?
That's true, but
Yeah.
Kirk's been trying to call in. So I finally told him, Kirk, I'm calling in, so you can't call in.
Kurt Young, you talking about?
Yeah, Kirk
Wow.
Young.
Oh, it'd be great
Now,
to have him.
He's
Kurt.
got a memory. He could actually remember these things.
Well, he's like 10, 15 years younger than we are, too.
No, he's not.
Isn't he? I thought he's only in his 50s, isn't he?
Yeah, you're right. 10 years. You're right. You're right.
Is he in his late 50s?
He
I
just
would
looks a lot older.
No, he doesn't. He looks like he's still in college. Last time I saw him. And
Well,
the flatteries are just now starting to age. I think they're getting ready to turn 60, but
Oof.
yeah, you don't look that old now, but I don't know what happened to Randy and I. We kind of
Uh-oh.
got beat up by the age thing. So
You guys got ridden hard, put away wet. I took care of myself.
hey, wouldn't do it any differently. I'll tell you. I was talking. Kevin Crummins was in here the other day, and we were talking about the 70s once again, and we agreed
Oh,
once
good
again.
old days. Put Crimmins. There
Once-
you go.
There we go. You know, once again, if you remember the 70s, you really weren't there. Anyway, Randy Coleman, Nevin Mulholland. We'll get back on sports. So the NBA season is usually runs into June now, Randy.
Oh yeah.
And are the Lakers expected to take the title this year?
Well, it kind of depends on their health. LeBron's still hurt and he's out. So Anthony Davis is back. So it'll depend on their health. But I'll tell you, there's some teams, Utah and others, even Phoenix and the Clippers are looking tough. And so it's not going to be an easy road for the Lakers, especially if LeBron can't play.
Well, and even if he does play, Randy, I don't see the Lakers. There's just too many injuries. LeBron, when he does get back, he's still beat up. I don't see it. And this year, it's really up for grabs a little bit. I mean, there is no team that I would say is a shoe-in to win it all. I mean, I think there's a lot of parity going into the tournament.
He said there was a lot of parity going in the tournament. I'm sorry. Yeah, we got to get this fixed. I'm sorry, guys. Somebody should be able to call in, and we should all be able to talk on the air. But for some reason now that we can. But anyway, Nevin said there was a lot of parity in the league.
Yeah, there is a lot of parity, and I think that's a good thing. I'm tired of the super teams always ending up the same teams being in the finals. So I think it'll be a much more interesting playoff season coming up with the parity that's out there.
Totally agree.
All right, Nevin Mulholland, Randy Coleman. Is there any other basketball we have to talk? I don't think we should be talking basketball necessarily this time of year, unless it is the NBA. But you guys are so crazed on basketball, it's hard to get you off the subject.
Well, I'll tell you one last thing. Taylor Horton-Tucker has really been having a year for the Lakers. She's getting to play a lot.
Horton Tucker has been having a heck of a year.
Yeah, and he won a game for them here a couple nights ago on a three, last second three. He's really playing well. And so is George Niang. Bunch of Iowa State guys.
Where is George Niang?
With Utah. He's starting for him right now.
He's with the Jazz? I didn't know that.
Yes, and he's had a very good year.
I always thought he was a great ball handler, even in school.
He's actually really developed a three-point shot. And, now they have a bunch of injuries, Utah, which has given him an opportunity to start, and he's really done well.
Utah, and he's really done well as a starter for Utah. We never see Utah out here. I mean, I can't turn on the television without bumping into the Lakers. It's like the Yankees when we were all kids. The only game of the week was the Yankees and somebody. Anyway, yeah, but did I tell you I got a get well card from Steve Booth? I think I did. What a nice gesture that was when I was sick. That was really cool.
Oh, he's a great guy.
Yeah, he is. And his sister Barb worked out here with us for years. She retired last week. So
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Barb retired?
Barbara, yeah, I never thought she would, to be honest. I thought she'd be one of those people who stayed in that office forever. But she just decided that 20 years was enough, or 21 or 2 or whatever she was here. She just decided that was enough, and God bless her.
Well, congratulations to Barb. She's a great gal. She's a hard worker over there. Boy.
Yeah. Whatever they paid her here wasn't enough. She'd be out here on Sunday. She felt a tremendous commitment to her work, and she wanted her
You
work.
were lucky to have it.
I couldn't agree with you more. If I needed something or there needed to be some sort of change or whatever, I got on talk with Barb. She'd ask me a few questions, and it would be taken care of. I mean, that's just who she was, and she was always a pleasant and quiet smile in the hallways, as opposed to all these loudmouth disc jockeys around here and salespeople. All of us are talkers, salespeople, and certainly I've been known to say a few words when asked, and
sometimes when not asked.
And sometimes when not asked. When the urge hits, that's all there is to it. So Bemrick was in here the other day. Matt Bemrick was in here, and we talked a little bit about the Cardinals, of course, because he's a big fan. But the Cardinals are jumping out strong this year, Nevin.
They're a good team. I hate it.
I do too.
Golly. Yeah, Flaherty just went to 7-0. Their starting pitcher, he's won his first 7 games, he's 7-0 anyway. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Cards are looking good.
And they have plenty of good hitters too, and good fielders. They're a solid team. They really are. It's rare that we're in recent history and going back in history that they haven't been solid. But this year, I think they're very well rounded all the way around, and that's impressive.
Yeah,
I can't help but think of the '68 Cardinals with Ken Boyer on third, Bob Gibson on the mound, Tim McCarthy behind the plate. Dick Grote at second. Yeah. Oh, those were great years to watch Cardinal baseball. Lou Brock was out in the field. I even hate to say Lou Brock to this day because of the Ernie Broglio thing. But
hey, was Javier on? Who's the one? There's another guy. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, that's really all I had to say is that, the Cubs just had a solid and great team in '68. I think they took the series that year. And as a baseball fan, I had to admit that that team was exceptional. And of course, the Cardinals had great. And as a baseball fan, how can you not acknowledge Stan Musial? You must also acknowledge Ernie Banks and all the great players for the Cubs down through the years. Baseball is a great game, man. It's a great game. So,
well,
I hate to see liberals influencing my game. You know what I mean, Randy? So what do you got?
I knew you'd have to circle back to it before the end of the show. Now that you got your wingman there with
I got him right here. Hey, Randy and I should hang out more than we do, because in talking with Randy over the years, I realize I have a soul brother over here.
Well, I guess that's one benefit for me for being a liberal. Randy stuck with you. I'm not.
Oh, no, you wouldn't cut Coolman away. Come on, you wouldn't. Anyway, Nevin, you have a parting shot or not? We're running out of time here, unfortunately.
I don't think I got much here, fellas.
All right.
Get this equipment figured out.
Yeah, I got to get the equipment thing figured out. There's no doubt. So thanks for being here, Nevin.
All right.
Take care, man. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. Again, we've had some kind of, I know, I was gone and gremlins came into the studio and screwed everything all up, Randy.
I think it was COVID-related problems.
It could be. There were just so many little things that went wrong. Sometimes when you don't use equipment, it bothers. It's a bother on the show and things like that. You don't know. Anyway, Randy, thank you for being here, of course.
You bet, Mike. Glad to be back. Glad you're back.
Oh, man. And we'll get this thing figured out. We'll be better next time. All right. Thank you for listening, ladies and gentlemen. It's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Take care. Be careful, but have a lot of fun. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
Hi, this is Gary Rima, the voice of the University of Northern Iowa Panthers, and this is the home for Panther Sports, the voice of Fort Dodge, KVFD, Fort Dodge.